come and go. It can happen when you are young or old. When it comes from nowhere. When it comes, it changes your life. Sons and daughters, love and laughter, tears and sadness and happiness. We will find out our sons and daughters are what we two were once about. Love can happen now, and it happened then. Wondered at the time what love really meant. When it came from nowhere. When it came, it altered my life. Sons and daughters, love and laughter, tears and sadness and happiness. We will find out our sons and daughters are what we two were once about. Sons and daughters, love and laughter, tears and sadness and happiness. We will find out our sons and daughters are what we two were once about. Sons and daughters, love and laughter, tears and sadness and happiness. We will find out our sons and daughters are what we do. I amuse myself. Hello, good afternoon. And welcome. What an interesting weekend we've had. I've got so many things to talk about. I'm just going to stick to the one today. And it's bizarre. Before we play this, I just want you to think, would you trust this person with their nuclear codes? And before we start, let me just say, at the center of this, what we're going to talk about today is a young person, aged 13 years old. And I just want to say they are not responsible for this. They are a victim in this. And so I don't particularly, I know it's really delicate. I think we have to talk about it though. But I'm aware that it is very delicate. However, when you do enter this world of politics, when you want to be the leader of the country, I'm afraid your family life does come into play, especially when you're the responsible person. You can't be responsible for the sins of your father, but you certainly can be responsible for the sins and abuse of one of your children. And that potentially is what we're talking about. So let's bring you up to speed.
My wife is fantastic. She is my complete support and partner in this. She doesn't do anything publicly. She wants to get on with her job. She works for the NHS. We've got two relatively young children. A boy is 15, a boy is 13.
Do you say that? Like, somebody asked me about my children. If I'm talking about my family, I'll say I'm married. I have 3 sons and a daughter. I don't say... Or I'd say I've got 3 sons, age 20, 21, 14, 15. I have a daughter who's 16, 17, 18, whatever they might be. That's how I talk about my children. I don't say I have a boy who's 21. I have a boy who's 20. I have a boy who's... I don't say that. It's quite an awkward way of saying it, isn't it? Quite a weird way of talking about it when you've just got 2 sons? Maybe this is why.
Got 2 children, so our boy is 15 and our girl is 12.
Do you cook meat for them?
So
what's he got? What has Keir Starmer got? What has the man who wants to run the country, has he got? Has he right? This is what it could be. And again, I just want to be clear. My criticism here is from 2 adults. It's for 2 adults, Keir Starmer and his wife. They are the people being criticised, and right now might just be Keir Starmer because he might be so stupid he forgot the sex of his child. Or flustered in an interview that he forgot the sex of his child, but I don't think so. So either there was a 12-year-old girl in his house in July that was actually a boy, and that girl from the age of however old until 12 has been pretending to be a boy, and he's been going along with it, talking to members of the public, lying about the sex of his daughter, or he's got a son, a daughter who's now pretending to be a boy, and he's going along with that and lying to the electorate. Or the third option is that he's so stupid and so rubbish under pressure that he can't remember the sex of his child. Now, there are some other clues to this, besides the way he behaves. So let's have a look. Here's one. Their son is named Toby. However, both Keir and his wife Victoria have never disclosed their daughter's name publicly. Now, there are many reasons for this. It might be that his son was born and they did disclose, and then they realized that was a stupid idea. So they've never done the same to their daughter. I think that's so anyway, but that says that he's got a daughter. Here, 13-year-old daughter. Here, 13-year-old daughter. Here, 13-year-old daughter, and here, 12-year-old daughter. However, there are another couple of articles which I don't seem to have been able to grab, screen grab, that says sons. Now, that might be on the basis of the interview you just gave. That might be because someone hasn't done their research. That might be because the person who wrote the article just went on that and is a bit true trans. But let me just say, do we trust a man to run this country who cannot be trusted to know the sex of their own child? Worse, can we trust a man who has been enabling the abuse of a minor, either before they were 13 or after they were 13, calling them a sex that they weren't, enabling a child to pretend to be the opposite sex? Can we trust him with our own children? Like, can you trust a man who either incorrectly sexes their own child or flusters like that? Can you trust him with your children? I'm assured that all the articles saying 2 sons are from yesterday, so they're going along with what he says. He is the master of flip flop is old Keir Starmer, but this is so much more concerning. I talked about this when I talked about mermaids a long time ago, even before I went fully peroxide again. So when I used to sit over in that corner behind me, and I talked through the mermaids and Susie Green, and how Susie Green, now that her child is transitioned, Susie Green can't ever go against that, because then she would have to admit that what she's done to her own child is wrong. And what I talk about frequently when I talked about the doctor's surgery is that once you have one person, so one person in a family, one person in a workplace, one person in a social group, one person in a organization, one person in any sort of social group, any sports team, any collection of humans, once somebody says that they are trans, once that person is in, They poison the well. Everybody ceases to be able to speak truthfully and normally. So, is that what's been going on with Keir Starmer? Is he in so much trouble? Is he so bad for women? Because actually, in his own home, he has been enabling the abuse of a minor to think that she will grow up to be male, to call her a boy. Like, really? Can you really trust a man that does that? I wouldn't trust him to babysit, let alone run the country. So, is that what we're talking about? And I think it's important to talk about worst case scenario. So, worst case scenario, who gets into 10 Downing Street and he is enabling the abuse of a minor. Those two parents in that household are enabling the abuse of a minor. They are going along with this absolute nonsense that this girl has become a boy. Therefore, how can he and he said that on national TV, right? He said that on national TV. Incidentally, the other day when I shared a clip of Keir Starmer saying that as a former director of public prosecutions, that he is well aware of safeguarding for women and girls. I just think if he was a parent of a girl, he would have said that then, because that would have been a really good thing to say. You know, if you want to convince people that you care about women and girls, you would say, I have a daughter. Of course, I want women to be safe. You know, I'm a married man and I have a daughter. So, you know, is that what we're talking about? Because I think that is what we're talking about. I think we're talking about a man whose own family is enabling the abuse of a minor. And that's, I guess, worst case scenario. Is he really going to stop when he's got pressure from inside his own household? Is he really going to stop children taking puberty blockers? Is that not going to come back? Is he going to look under the Tories? Under the Tories, since 2012, we have had police officers able, because they are. So I did some research back in 2021. And what we looked at is how different is a male police officer treated if he says that he's a woman or if he says he's got a GRC. Is he treated differently to a woman? And what we found in our research back in 2021, and something that I've been talking about on the television since 2018, and something that my political party, when listed, will absolutely be focused on, because I have been a victim of the police and their stupid captured politics since 2018. In fact, since 2017, I've had the attention of the police, and Keir Starmer cannot be trusted to overturn that. I mean, this has been happening under the Tories, right? So I just want to say, under the Conservative government, a policeman has been allowed to intimately search a female suspect of any description, or any female. A policeman has been able to behave and have exactly the same duties as any female police officer, no matter what new something has come about. That was made law in 2012. There's nothing new about it. Maybe new to you, isn't new to me, isn't new to many of us. I think Fair Cop talked about it after I did. Even some women on the old Soc Fem side have been talking about it since about 2018, 2019. So it's not new that police officers who call themselves women in the police force are treated the same as other police officers who actually are female. So there's nothing new in any of this. It's all old news. We have known about this since 2012. And that's why we did the Freedom of Information Act and emails and research in both. We didn't just focus on the police. We also looked at staff at the NHS. And you won't be surprised to know out of all the NHS trusts, only 4 came back and said that they would differentiate between a woman and a man with a GRC, or a man who just said he was a woman. So I just want to make that really, really clear. When we look, it's really important. And in this movement, we see it a lot, that people even take organizations. They don't just take people's work and don't credit them. They don't just say that they've reinvented the wheel. But sometimes, even in this movement, people will come out and act like they're the first people to ever say something. And it's really irritating. And it's something that I haven't done. I founded Standing for Women. And I didn't take it from anybody. I didn't take an organization from anybody. I didn't kick anyone out of their own organization. Um, anyway, but the Conservative government have supervised this country, have governed this country, whilst we have surrendered our children to this cult through the NHS and through education. And they've also done it whilst we surrendered the NHS, surrendered this country on its knees to the trans cult, in our judiciary, in our police service, in our local governments, in our foster care, in our adoption, everywhere where there should be safeguarding, where there shouldn't be any of this politics. They have invaded this. They have poisoned every single well that you expect to look after us. So that's the Conservatives for you. And what Labour are going to do is hope to put a man in 10 Downing Street who doesn't even know whether he's got a son or a daughter of age 13. So in July, he said he had a boy, a girl. In July of 2023, he said his 12-year-old child was a girl. And before that, always daughter, girl, daughter, girl. And in 2024, January, he said he's got a 13-year-old boy. So what the hell? What the hell? What are Keir Starmer's family values? To enable the abuse of a minor? Can you trust him, really? It's absolutely just a crazy, crazy scandal. I'm really aghast. I'm a little bit peeved today. There is no party in this country. That's why the party of women is more important than ever. And I say this every time, but then something else comes up and I'm like, oh God, what can stop this? Like, who can hold Keir Starmer to account? Who can ask him in the face, by the way, did your wife give birth to 2 sons or a son and a daughter, Keir? Who can ask him that? Because, look, I was on Julie Hartley-Brewer the other day, and Ofcom, who govern what can and cannot say on the television, Ofcom, who didn't uphold any of the complaints about a man getting his penis out on the television and playing a piano with it. Ofcom, who don't mind RuPaul's Drag Race going on the television and having like semi-pornified names and really vulgar, disgusting, sexist versions of caricatures of women on it. That Ofcom, who now have queered Doctor Who. That Ofcom. I'm not allowed to say he for Munro Bergdorf. It's likely that Talk TV will get fined. It's likely that might be one of the reasons I'm less likely to be invited onto the television, and you will see other people invited onto the television to talk about things. It's just, I mean, this is where we are. This is where we are. So here's the options. Number 1, Keir Starmer has enabled the abuse of an under 12-year-old by calling his son a daughter. 2, he has enabled the abuse of a minor over 12 years old and calls his daughter a boy. Or 3, he's so rubbish, even in a tiny interview on Sky News, that he forgets that he has a boy and a girl children. What's more likely? They're all crap. We can't have a man in number 10 who's too flustered to say whether he's got a son or a daughter on the television. And also that I have a boy and I have a boy. Who says that? You say I have 2 boys. 2 boys. Leslie says, he says at one point, 16 was too young for transition. He said loads of things at one point. He said at one point that he had a daughter, 2 sons, and then he said at another point that he's had a daughter and a son. I don't trust the man. I've got much more to talk about, but I'm going to keep it short for today. Um, Look, I am absolutely clear that we need this party. You need this party more than ever. We need ordinary people, women, who have ordinary lives. I was in my local Tesco's on Sunday. I think it was Sunday. A very lovely woman came up to me and said, "Oh, I watch you online. Thank you for all you do for women and girls." And it's little things like that that just make me realize we are the women that are going to change it, not academics, not women that want to put their name in the history books, not women that have seen a nice little way of becoming important and they want a little piece of the pie. This is not about being named in history. This is not about that. Not even being on the right side of history. This is about changing the world for the women that we know and changing the world for the girls that we know and the girls that we love and making sure that this little blip in pretending to not know what a woman is just merely a blip where everyone in just a few minutes' time says, "Oh my God, what the hell were we thinking? How ridiculous. It's so silly." That's what this is about. That's what Let Women Speak is about. And we feel that we've raised the consciousness here of the general public. We feel we've reached women who might not usually have got involved in politics at all, might not want to get involved in politics, might think that um, politics isn't for them, it doesn't really mean anything to them, doesn't change their lives, or that feminism is just some ethereal concept that they don't fancy joining because that of all the stuff said about feminists, or that it's not really relevant, or it doesn't really help them. These are the women that we always intended upon reaching, and I think we have. And now we want to say to those women, you've heard what's going on. And I want each and every one of you who's ever thought that maybe you can't join in, maybe that your voice isn't worthy enough, maybe you're not informed enough, that actually this is your fight. And we are the women that will actually win this war. It's not going to be those women that help propagate this crap. It's not going to be in the academies. It's not going to be in the feminist organizations who sold their souls for gold. It's not going to be those. It's not going to be the women that flip flopped around this issue and called men lesbians. It's not going to be those women. It's going to be you women. It's going to be you women who just talk plainly, who just know what is right and wrong without anybody having to tell you why, because it just is. So, anyway, I'm really hoping that all of you understand. Look, let me just say, I used to think a long time ago that I couldn't be an MP because my degree wasn't great enough. I didn't do an MA. It wasn't from, well, it was from quite a good university actually, but it wasn't from like the elite universities. I didn't go to a private school. I didn't then have this amazing career. Thangam Debonair, for example, had a career in domestic violence shelters and helping women, and then she said next to nothing on this issue. Or Jess Phillips, who did so much for women and violence against women, and then has said pretty much nothing on this issue apart from the bare minimum. I'm talking about all of those women. I'm talking about the fact that I never thought that I was good enough to be an MP, and now I think I'm too good. Quite frankly, I think many of us are overqualified for the state of our MPs right now, and our councillors and our PCCs. And so let's change it. Let's make it a better place. Let's make the House of Parliament a better place by actually sitting in it. Anyway. Right. If you can make it to one of our events, and we've got Exeter, and then we've got Hyde Park at the end of the month, we would love to see you. It's going to be wonderful and freezing cold. So, but if you can do that, if you can make your voice heard, then I promise we will win. If you can really just just visualize the fact that we can win. I promise we will win. And if you can come along and you can stand either quietly in the crowd or at the front telling everybody your story, testifying about what it is to be a woman in 2024 in the United Kingdom, then I promise we will win. And do you know why else we're going to win? Because I never lose.